Welcome back to the studios. What a day it has been. We had a very auspicious start. Sri Venkaiah Naidu was here along with us and he shared his vision as far as sports is concerned and the government's plans going forward. Any sport, for that matter, is heavily dependent on the media. The people who understand the sport and who convey it to the public, they play a very, very vital role. They make the sport look dramatic. They make us enjoy the sport better. And it can't get better than the 5 people we have in the studio today who are eminent journalists and writers in sport for ages. The combined experience is quite huge. Sikha, if you could please introduce.
Absolutely. I must say that this is a gang who actually brings everything from the fields, from the courts and from the stadiums right at our doorsteps. I am very honored and very excited to welcome our esteemed set of panelists. We have Rahul Banerjee with us. He's sports editor at the Asian Age and Deccan Chronicle. Very warm welcome, Rahul. Next to him, very well known and I shows it a complete package. We have Ayaz Memon Sahab. He's the sports writer, journalist, author, lawyer and everything compiled in oneself. Thank you so much for coming up here. Next to him, we have a very pretty Neeru Bhatia. Thank you so much. She's the Deputy Chief of Bureau at The Week magazine. Thank you so much, Neeru, for coming up here. And next to him, we have Shantanu Guha. He's an award-winning journalist, well-known author, and currently is the Indian editor, Central European News, Vienna. Thank you so much. And last in the league, we have Soumitra Bose. She's the sports editor at the newspaper of the country and has covered many Olympics, Asian Games, and various events of both national and international importance. Thank you so much, all 5 of you. Let's get up for all the discussion.
Sure. Yes, of course.
Let's set the ground rules. I heard the word, but still we have to set it. Time is a constraint, but of course, the idea is to have a critical look at what has happened, what is happening, and what can happen. The 5 of you, the collective experience, as I already mentioned, you have been there and seen it all. Let me start with you, Rahul. It's a cliche, it's an age-old question, which we ask ourselves every now and then, but still we don't have an answer. What ails Indian sport?
Well, for one thing, we have to realize that in India, sport is not really a pastime as it is in the West. Our essential thing is survival first. Now, it's only of late that we have started to become a slightly prosperous economy, that we actually now have time and money, and we never used to have leisure. So when you don't have leisure, you're not, your first focus is putting food on the table for your family. It's only of late, in the last few years, like I said, that we have started to get the time. So which is why it has taken so long for, though there has always been a culture of sport in the villages, kabaddi, kho-kho, like your minister said a little while ago, when he was young, he was doing this, that and the other, which has always been there in the villages. In the towns, unfortunately, what's happened now of late, again, we have had this distraction of, video games and things that have taken children away from the playing fields. Playing fields have reduced over the years. Parks have made way for buildings and all that. So until this changes, but then there is always, like I said, there is a move towards change. We are in the process of finding leisure time, and we are seeing the result. I mean, the fact that there are more and more children coming out to play. The number of sports, cricket, of course, it is on its own, but other sports like football, golf, even I play golf occasionally. The number of kids who are coming to golf clinics is very impressive. So there is a change, and hopefully this will continue in the years to come.
So if I may request you to bring it down, filter it down to 3. Of course, as he mentioned, there are many, but what could be the 3 factors that probably we need to set right to put Indian sport on track?
Well, I think we need to prioritize it. I think that's fundamental. It's not just prioritize, I think, in many dimensions. One is obviously from the government point of view, not just in terms of outlay of money, but in the follow-up, in setting up targets, in ensuring that there are deliverables. I think the approach so far has been very namby-pamby. We spend the money, if the results come, we're a fatalistic country, or have been for a long while. As long as we participated, theek hai, nahi mila, but koshish ki humne. I think that mindset needs to change. The other is from the societal angle. I think people who, like us, we are also journalists, we are parents, we are, we've got folks who are kids who are in school. I think we need to encourage them. Like you mentioned earlier, that, sports was never seen as more than anything but a pastime. The competitive streak that you need to excel in sports has to be developed very early. You can't ask a 20-year-old.
Absolutely, but do you think, Neeru, as I said, the mindset has to be changed, especially when we talk about a sea change now. Now, it's not only the Bollywood stars have been looked up, it's the sports stars as well. We see so many biopics are being made, right from the capital accepted by the society as well.
Yes, to some extent, though I still feel that the sports culture that everybody see, I think it's all started when Colonel Rajavardhan Rathore came back with only one medal in the Athens Olympics, and then we came up with a better performance thereafter, with coming up with 3 unprecedented medals, which was our best ever performance in a long time at the Beijing Olympics. And then people started wanting to see more medals, but then medals don't come automatically. There has to be a system, and there has to be planning, and there has to be very meticulous and very selfless. It cannot be, ad hoc, which sadly it is at the moment. There is no lack of money or training opportunities that elite athletes get, but then there has to be a proper system, a professional approach to it, which is lacking sorely. So until we get all that sorted out, I don't see us improving at the world level. But having said that, the expectations have grown. The awareness about India doing well on the sporting map of the world has really gone up. You have access to like you talk about soccer. We're still struggling with improving our soccer performances. But then the Indian, most of the Indian kids are exposed to the English Premier League or the La Liga, which is like top class soccer. So there is a gap, there is a mismatch.
So we can say Shantanu is actually catching the maximum eyeballs, but the criticism which we are facing as far as, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about opportunity, we talk about scholarship, we talk about facilities. So do you think it's the right criticism which is being posed off?
Well, I think we have been discussing, all this for the last 15-20 years. Indian sports will only improve when the PlayStation to the playground mode will change. We need to encourage people to get into sports and make a career out of it, number one. We must have a sports ministers. We have sports ministers who have no control on BCCI, the world's richest cricket board. I think we have to tell people that sports is also a career. Now all these discussions we have, cricket, we are a cricketing nation, we are a sporting nation, we have been having these discussions. But parents need to tell their children that sports can also be a career. You can make money from that. You can do very well there. I think that's important. Can we drop engineering? Can we drop science and all kind of subjects and push sports there? Let teachers in schools inculcate students that get out of this PlayStation mode and get into the playground.
I think she needs to add
on. Just a small point. I'm just supplementing what Shantanu was saying. Today the athlete gets everything once he achieves something. But the process of starting to achieving that is where the struggle is, the real struggle is, and half his energies and more than that are spent only trying to get to a point where he can achieve something. So there's no dearth of facilities, but sadly
at the right time.
It's not at the right time. It's more after they've achieved. When they get a medal, the state governments will give a lot of money, a lot of they'll give them fancy posts, etc.
They promise a lot of money. Whether they actually get it or not is slightly
different.
The
thing is, there is even if somebody like a Sakshi Malik or somebody, if she wins a medal in the Olympics, she gets 50 lakhs, 1 crore, whatever.
Absolutely.
But that's all afterwards. But what the real effort should be before that.
Absolutely. To take a cue from what Neeru said.
Can I just slightly add a
Sure, please.
You made a very valid point. The under-17 team is now traveling across the world. They're playing matches.
You're doing pretty well as well.
They're pretty well. There has been some criticism in the papers that they didn't play the Italian national team and all kind of stuff. But let's drop that.
Still is good.
The first goal was scored by a boy whose father is a rickshaw puller, mother is a bidi worker. Can you imagine the kind of dream he has dreamt? From that house, how difficult it is.
Had that courage actually.
Had that courage. That's India, that's sports. From there we need to start.
Absolutely. Neeru did speak about the start that you have to make. Once you become big, everything follows. But till then, it's a very painful journey. It's a very discouraging scenario right now, Soumitra. If I can bring you in, 2 hours are very important here. One is recognition, and the other one is reward. The two of these things have to come your way rather early in your career and your path as a sports person for you to be encouraged properly, isn't it?
There's another side to this, recognition and awards. Today we have a story in our Hindustan Times saying that there's a boy called Rohit Yadav. He has failed a doping test. In May, he won a silver medal in javelin in the Asian meet. He has been stripped of that medal. A couple of days back, there was a similar national athlete who was caught for doping. And there were vials of performance-enhancing drugs in his room. So this craze to get recognition, win medals, and the government pays certain amount of money is not going to work. So there has to be a fair assessment of dope control.
Yeah.
So it is a socio-economic problem.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, while our parents never forced us to play cricket, football or any sport, like today we had 7 interns from British school and Serum school.
Okay.
We asked them to write stories. All of them wrote about EPL.
Okay.
Nobody wrote about Aizwal or Neroka. 2 of the brightest football teams in India
Yeah.
will probably not get to play the Premier League of India next year.
That's
There's a terrible disbalance
yeah.
Absolutely.
in this
So-
entire system of sport that we have in India.
When we all say, it's cricket, but probably can you say over the years cricket has gained it. You have seen 1983 World Cup so closely. Before I ask the question, I would like to relive, please tell us, share those moments when actually you've seen those World Cups so nearby. And how was it feeling, penning down for the nation wherein holding that World Cup?
I think it's a great sense of pride. Even if you are a journalist and you're supposed to remain objective, the fact that India could go and win at the international level in the manner in which we won, because we were completely unfancied. There was no hope in hell that Kapil Dev and his team would have won, and for that matter beaten the West Indies, which was then the best team in the world, in the final. But this is the charm and beauty of sport, because you can upset the best. You
Absolutely.
can beat,
I-
David and Goliath
So
situation.
I'm sorry to
can
interrupt
happen.
you here. There's a story about it. You would know it's better. Once India was bundled out for 183, the celebrations had started in the West Indian dressing room, and they already had cases of beer being ordered. Is it true, or is it just a story?
I think they were ordered even in the Caribbean, not just at Lord's.
It's all about celebrations.
I can tell you the late and great Richie Beno was a journalist and a commentator then.
Yeah.
And I was running up the stairs to watch the match. I was running a little late, and he was coming down to go for his assignment to some other commentary box.
Yeah.
And he said 60-1 I'll give you if India can win this match.
Okay.
Did you take the bet?
No, I didn't think. I never believed that India could win. I said the odds are very good. I can be a fairly rich man if I bet. But I said nahi. Like a good Indian, I said 10 rupiya bachao.
So I think that mindset, we the Indians, we don't have the belief, then how can we think about the rest of the world?
To broad base, I think what we've been saying, we are a massive country. We are 130 crore. I don't completely share that we've got all the facilities which we've got in urban centers. We need hub and spoke models. We are getting the rickshaw puller's son or daughter. In the IPL you had a rickshaw driver's son playing. You need hub and spoke models from the Mufassil, from the smallest town. There must be talent searches. You can't have a stadium in every city, every town. You have a hub and spoke model where talent is discovered, nurtured and brought to the hub. And from there, the other part is, and let me just, 130 crore, but actually we keep almost 50% of our population out of sport, which is the women.
Yeah.
For societal, social reasons. And actually our women have been the best performing.
Absolutely. If we see, look back in the last year,
not equal, even better.
That mindset has to change. And once that happens, the girl child is encouraged to play, who's going to be a sister and a mother later, who will inculcate in the next generation.
I think, that's changing phenomenally as we see the performance last year. It was not even
Absolutely.
it was better.
No, well,
than
it's not just last Olympics. If you remember from Kanna Malleshwari, in Sydney, she was a lone medalist over there in Sydney Olympics. PT Usha, who's been the flag bearer of Indian athletics and herself. And then we've had Sakshi Malik,
Mary
Kom. They've always been flag bearers. So we just need more of that, because like he said, the inculcation of a sporting culture starts from home, and a lot of that imbibing comes from the mother or the parent. But in terms of facilities, what I wanted to say was, it is only at the elite level. If you reach that level of being an elite athlete, and you are part of the national federation's plans at the international level, then you get the training facility. But even then, there is a mismatch of timing. The athlete has to run to get his funding delivered from the Sports Authority of India, or he has to make 10 rounds to the ministry, or he has to make 10 rounds to the federation.
So that means more than talent, more than
the time wasted is a medal wasted.
Absolutely.
You cannot sit and do red tape.
He needs to add
and just a small thing. I think I find it very strange in this country that the trigger to success, the success is the trigger for growth in this country. We have to win a World Cup, only then people will get excited and play football. Cricket has given us great success. That's why cricket has gone on a far high. That's why BCCI is the world's richest cricket board. Now the point is, this is also a mad race that I must win, I must be the number one. The race to the number one is not India seeks. India seeks to be a sporting nation from a cricketing nation. That transformation has already happened. People are getting into different kinds of sports. It is just that the push has to be a little further.
But when you
That's
say
all.
it's a richest board, BCCI, there was a time in 1983, if you agree, Ayaz, they didn't have money to give to the players.
Yeah,
they
things have
organized a
changed.
concert
Things
with
have
Lata
changed.
Mangeshkar and the
That
money
w-
earned.
I fully agree.
And you
They had to go
know,
fishing
they
in
didn't
this
have.
life for the
BCCI, Shantanu, I think the BCCI is a classic example of how to manage your affairs
Absolutely.
superbly, knowing what the environment
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
When the economy opened up, they were the first movers and aggressive movers in optimizing their
private
opportunities.
broadcast.
So it's a case of putting the market
And then
first.
spreading the gospel of cricket. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari today, everybody plays cricket. Punjab, Jharkhand, which was the the domain for hockey, and other sports, are now playing cricket.